everyone. So yes, I discovered self-tanner. And basically, you know how the internet works. If there is not a video or a picture to prove it, then it never happened. And because this is probably the only week of the entire year that I will be tan, I figured might as well take advantage of it. Let's do a summer makeup tutorial. So that is what we are doing in today's video. I have sort of a go-to summer makeup look that I've been wearing quite a lot. It's really fresh. You know, I love to do a skin-focused makeup look. I like for my skin to look like skin, but I'm also using a lot of techniques that make this last on the skin because I also want my makeup to really lock in the summer. And I'm here to prove that you don't have to choose a really skin-like makeup look that isn't going to last. So I'll show you sort of like my tips and my tricks and also show you like my go-to products. A lot of these have been standbys for a very long time, and also a couple new favorites that maybe you guys haven't heard me talk about before. And before you leave, if you find me tolerable, please make sure to subscribe before you go. I have a little bit of the self-tan discrepancy going on. I don't like to put self-tanner on my face, so we're just going to color match the self-tan. But first I want to prime. So you guys know I'm a Glossier rep, and Future Dew is pretty much like my favorite Glossier product. I love that it gives me a long lasting glow throughout the day. It maintains my skin looking super dewy and just fresh, but it doesn't help with longevity. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of the Coverfx gripping primer to it. I don't like using this alone because I feel it's a little too tacky. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that on the back of my hand and then add I would say like 75% of a pump of this and just mix it all up. And so now I'm going to get the glow that I want, but this is also hopefully going to make my makeup last a little bit longer. Yeah, I definitely get a lot more tack now out of this duo than I would with just the Future Dew alone, but I do want to take just a touch more. I like to kind of use this as a pre-highlight just to make the highlights of my face sort of pop a little bit. So I'll put a little bit on the cheekbones, down the bridge of the nose, and now we can cover the face and do a little color matching. I was looking through my foundations and I am pretty pale if it wasn't already obvious, so the only one that I have that really matches me right now is the It Cosmetics CC cream, and this is the shade Fair Light. The undertone is really close to the self-tan that I'm using, so we're gonna go in with this. This has been around for a really long time, and I think the reason why people really adore it is that it will give you medium coverage. It really very quickly covers the face and makes you look more flawless, but it's just not a heavy looking product on the skin. I think that's super important for me with summer makeup. It's really important for the product to just not look like a lot of product on the skin. This blends really easily, and I just find that no matter how my skin is doing, you know, the condition of my skin itself, this always looks good. Like, I have used this when I've had a really dry nose from a cold, like my skin was peeling, and the thought of putting on makeup like disturbed me. I looked gnarly. But when I applied this, somehow I looked presentable. And so from then on, this is my go-to product. When I need my skin to look like the condition of my skin, I need it to look good. I'm also going to bronze up a little bit, help everything match up a little bit because it still looks a little light. Get under the sideburns over here. Never forget under the sideburns. If you've used this product, you know the finish that I'm talking about. It's dewy. This product, because of the like creamy consistency to it, it looks creamy on the skin. It has like a slight blurring effect. It's really nice as just an everyday product if you want something to be more of a medium coverage but still look like skin. I've used this for a very long time, and they have expanded the shade range, but I really hope that they continue to do so. Next, I'm going to use my Kosas Revealer Concealer. This is the shade 1. It's a little bit light, obviously. if you couldn't already tell. So I'm just gonna use a little bit less. Foundation really did a good job covering everything else that I needed to cover. I really like this concealer though for under the eyes specifically. I'm super picky with concealers as a whole, especially under the eyes. It never highlights texture, but it also gives me some coverage. It gives me the coverage that I need. Oftentimes I think some brands get the pigmentation wrong. There's not enough pigment, so you have to feel like you're consistently building up a product and nothing's happening. Or there's too much coverage and the finish isn't skin-like enough, and I think it just ends up looking really stark on the skin. It's really been able to check every box for me. It just really is pretty. And then I will take it down the bridge of the nose as well. Face is all blanked out. The quality of my skin looks good. That's where you want to be. With summer makeup, I mean, I see most makeup looks as skin focused. Like, that's how I approach makeup. But especially in the summer, I think there's something really nice to making the skin look really glowy, not going overboard. Keeping it a little bit more natural is what I like to do in the summer. So next I want to add a little bit of shape to my face. I'm going in with the Danessa myricks Colorfix, and this is one of the nudes. This is Nude 8, and I'm going to use this to begin to bronze up my skin. This is a heavy duty product, and it's not that it's heavy duty is that it looks heavy on the skin. It's incredibly thin, but very, very pigmented. And it's also so budge proof. By far the most long wear cream bronzing product that I have used. So I really have been loving it this summer. I'm taking just a little bit on the back of my hand, and I find that this shade is really good for me because it's not too warm. It's slightly more cool actually. I'm just going to take some on my beauty sponge and start bronzing up the skin. I am one of those people that if a bronzer is more on the orange side, I just get immediately turned off. And this one, really, when you blend it out, it just gives you such a realistic bronze look. So I have really been a fan of it. I think this product, though it takes a little bit longer to blend out because you don't want to go in with too much at once, the effect that you get is incredible and you won't have to reapply it. So I think that that makes it totally worth it. Do you see how realistic that looks? It really shapes the face, and the actual texture of the product is so thin that you can't even really tell where the product starts and stops. That's always a quality that I look for in my cream products. When you press it into the skin, it just kind of disappears, and not that there's no pigment, because obviously there's a ton of pigment. It just immediately wants to work with your skin and stay put, which is, again, super important. So I'm gonna start to bring it a little bit onto the cheeks as well, but just a little bit on the cheeks. I love how sculpted it makes the skin look, and this is going to last until I take off my makeup tonight. Can't forget about the forehead. Okay, so again, we got a little bit, let's completely derail this video. So we have a little bit of that shape going, a little bit of the bronze that I was looking for, but I think with a really realistic and pretty summer makeup look, it's all about building in layers and working slowly, because if you just go in with a shit ton of bronzer and just start putting it all over your face, I think it actually loses something. I think the contrast is what is going to make the skin look really pretty and polished. So that's what we're trying to build up. We're trying to build up that shape and that contrast. All right, that looks a little bit gross, but we're just gonna ignore that. So next we're going to go in with some powder products. I only work with powder products that work well over cream. So I'm going in with my Patrick Ta Double Take Cream and Powder Blush. Did a review on this and it's just so good. I'm really glad that I tried it out. Add the powder first, and then you put the cream on top of it. I will admit, I didn't think it was gonna work, but it does, and it looks incredible. So just taking the powder and beginning to apply that to the cheeks. I concentrate it above, right here, almost close to the under eye, because I think it actually looks a little bit more lifted, and then bringing the rest kind of over onto the cheek. By the way, this is the blending and bronzing brush from Ecotools. This has definitely been my brush of choice. I think sometimes it's helpful too to look straight into your mirror when you're applying your blush so that you can make sure that it looks a little bit more symmetrical. I have the tendency to kind of like do this and apply, but when you look straight into your mirror, I think it actually can be really helpful to do it that way. Take the excess and put it across my nose. If you guys aren't doing this, just try it once. It's not as scary as you would think it is. It really, I can't go back after I started doing it. We already have a lot of color going on, but I still think it needs more bronze. Right now it looks like we have that sort of summery flush. So before we put the cream on top, which we are going to go back and do that, I'm going in with my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. The reason I'm doing this is, again, we're working in layers to really build up the bronze effect without going in with a ton of product at once. And this is also going to help set everything. And it's gonna last a really long time. This makeup in general is going to last on the skin. So just slowly building it up. This is a very buildable bronzer. It's hard to screw up. I think that bronzers, you know, a good formula is hard to screw up. I'm using the same brush. I have no issues. The blush and the bronzer are gonna kind of melt together when you use the same brush. So don't ever feel like you need to have like your blush brush, your bronzer brush, 15 eyeshadow brushes. Like, I think if you really want a good blend, sometimes it's okay to keep using the same brush. I like to really pat it onto the forehead. And I also find that, you know, around the hairline, when you pat it in, it kind of gets between the hairs a little bit to make it look a little bit more realistic. Whereas if you're just kind of like blending it, it might not really get into the entire forehead. And I'm also going to take just a little bit down here. Okay, so I feel really bronzed. I think everything looks really pretty, but I still want a little bit of that dew. The Future Dew is definitely shining through, which is what we wanted. You know, you can still see it on the tops of the cheekbones, and that's what we wanted. But I just want a touch of light to my cheeks. That's when we pull out this bad boy again, and we use the cream, taking just a touch on the finger. And there we go. Blend that. And I'm not gonna take it all the way over. See the difference? It's subtle, but it just brings a touch of light to that area. But let's move into the eyes. The eyes are looking pretty bare. I get a lot of comments asking about my everyday eye looks, and I wanted this to kind of answer a lot of those questions. So what I like to do with my eyes is I'll take a really crease-proof cream eyeshadow into the crease to define the eye, and it'll also, again, help it from creasing. But then I will take a really glossy, almost wet looking cream eyeshadow on the lids. So I'm getting both the definition that I want and a little bit more of a long wear cream eyeshadow look, but I'm also getting that really like glossy lid look that reflects back a lot of light. I've really been liking this cream eyeshadow from Ulta. It is the Ulta Beauty Matte Cream Eyeshadow, and this is in the shade Game Over. This is so awesome because it is grease resistant, like I said before, but it's so easy. So I just take it, it has a doe foot applicator. I take a little bit onto a brush. This is the e.l.f. crease brush. And then I'll just put it into the crease. Sometimes I won't even put anything on my lids at all, and I'll just call it a day. And then do the same thing over here. I can't even tell you how effortless this eyeshadow is to work with. It's very difficult to find a matte cream eyeshadow that is easy to blend and the pigmentation is easy and even. I'm very impressed with these. I wish they had more shades. And I'm actually doing a video on my favorite cream eyeshadows at an affordable price, so make sure you're subscribed for that video because I've been working on it for a really long time. I really wanted it to be like an all-in-one, one-stop shop video. So you see we have a little bit of a shape going. I'm going to concentrate a little bit more on the outer crease. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit of a smaller brush if I can find one. I'm gonna take a little bit more. This is the E132 from AOA. Take this onto the outer corner and kind of go for like a winged look. Concentrating it out here and then just blending it out onto the rest of the eye. I find that this is a really pretty and easy way to give some structure to your eye look while it being like super easy to work with. And what we're doing right now is we're playing with the bare lid, using so much shape out here it actually is making the lid look brighter and your eyes more open because we're adding a lot of the darkness out here. For me in summer, I love a really wide-eyed look. I don't want anything too heavy. So now that we have some definition, I am going to do the thing that I usually do, which is go in with my top coat now. So I love the Natasha Denona Chroma Crystal top coats, and my favorite is the peach shade. You can see that. Oh my God. It's an incredibly thin top coat. You know, a lot of top coats are heavy and super glittery and chunky. This one just, it melts. Like even putting your finger into the pot, it just melts. It has such a wet quality to it. And then I'm gonna take a little bit and in the middle of my eye, like if I look at where my pupil is, right above it, I'm going to concentrate a little bit more, and it looks like you really spent a lot more time than you actually did on it. Now that we have a better idea of like the balance of the eyes, I want to add just a touch more definition to the outer corner. And I'm going to use another shade of the Ulta matte shadow, and this is Vintage Beauty. Just using a touch of this, really not a lot. We want to keep it light. I just want a touch more definition. I want to go in with some mascara now. First, I'm gonna curl my lashes, and then I'm going to use my favorite like curling mascara. This is Diorshow, but it's the iconic Overcurl. A brush like that is going to really help your lashes curl. This mascara is just so wispy, lengthens, and makes your eyes look really wide open. I'm also a fan of the Covergirl Lashblast. It's way more affordable, and I think that's like my all-time favorite. In fact, I'm gonna take the Lashblast. This one's pretty dried out, and I'm just gonna kind of use it as a comb. And then I don't like to use a lot of mascara on the lower lash line. I just like to go right over here in the corner to give me more of like a wispy, flirty look without making the lower lash line too dark, because again, I want to keep it really light. But I'm definitely missing a little bit of brow, so let's go ahead and do that now. This is the Hourglass Brow Sculpting Pen. I'm just going to fill in the sparse areas, not really changing my shape of my brow too much. I'm gonna keep it really soft. And that's why I really like this brow pencil, is that it's very soft. It doesn't look like a lot of product in the brow. It almost looks like a brow powder, which I feel like I don't have enough patience for brow powders. I like to just like draw it on and be done with it. But this looks like a brow powder. And then when you're a little bit messy in the front, it is fine, because this spoolie is also bomb. Like Hourglass did that. They made a Luxe spoolie. I don't even know that that was really possible. But you see how that spoolie just like perfectly blended that out? I never have a bad brow day with this. Well, I'm not gonna say never, but if it's a bad brow day, it's not the product's fault. Brows really help to pull the eyes together and make them like pop, but I want to set them. I don't want to do a colored brow product, so I'm going to use the Cosmetics Clear Brow Gel, and I really like this one because it's not too sticky. Some clear brow gels feel like really crunchy when I wear them, and I can almost see that they're crunchy, but these still keep my brows feeling fluttery and looking fluttery. So next we're going to go in with a little bit of highlight. This is the Nudies Glow in Bubbly Bebe, and I'm just gonna take a little bit on my finger and just pat it on the very tippy tops of my cheekbones. Not going too overboard because we already have quite a bit of glow going. I just want a little bit more. My friend State of Kate showed me this one, and I have not looked back. It just gives such a glossy, pretty effect. And I am going to highlight my nose a little bit as well. And for lips, I've just been using my tried and true, the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk liner. All right, the lips are lined, and then I'm going in with my chapstick Total Hydration Tinted Lip Oil. I just love this. Really a phenomenal and underrated lip product. Do you see that? Glossy and it's pretty, but it doesn't feel really heavy on the lips. It's not like a lip product combo that you would have to worry about. Okay, guys, and this is the completed look. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video. So I hope you guys enjoyed just me walking you through some of my favorite products and the techniques I like to do for the summer. Please give it a thumbs up before you leave if you did like it, and I would love for you to subscribe if you enjoyed the video. So with all of that, I will hopefully see you in my next one.